remember the monkeys used to jump from their tree onto like the ground of our apartment complex or like the grass. They were not afraid of kids and they were not afraid of women. Hi, I'm Yvonne. Thank you for coming back. If you were new, welcome. And if you're coming back, thank you for coming back. If you're new and you haven't already subscribed, you may as well. I think I'm awesome. I hope you think I'm awesome too. Just subscribe to my channel and just, try me out. I'm like a 30-day trial, You do that with other things. Give me a 30-day trial and see what you think of my channel. So subscribe and thumbs up if you like this video. So today I'm doing something a little different. I feel like I always say that in every video, so it's like you're not even doing something different, you're just doing something different which is expected. You guys get what I mean? I hope you get what I mean. But today I'll be telling a story that I guess it is crazy, but I think I almost forgot that this happened in my childhood or this part of my life. This happened or this was my lifestyle until recently, actually until a few days ago, and I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. I was raised with monkeys. That is strange to some people, but it did happen, and so if you want to know that story, just stay tuned and I'll get into that. How I thought about making this video was I was sitting with a coworker and we were working on a report, and somehow we started talking about monkeys, and he was like, oh, I heard monkeys can be mean. And then I said, just naturally, I was like, oh, not the ones I grew up with. Like the ones that are like my neighbors, they weren't mean, right? And then when it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh yeah, that freaking sounds weird, Yvonne, And he was like, so I feel like I have lipstick. He was like, you grew up with monkeys? He was like, I mean, Yvonne, come on, that's it. I know I was walking into that African stereotype, but sheesh, yes, that's my reality. And my family, we grew up with monkeys as our neighbors. This topic came up and I felt like I wanted to share this story because I thought, it was kind of cool. It's kind of dope. So just a little background. For those who don't know, I share this all the time, and maybe you can hear it from my accent, maybe you can't, but I'm originally from Kenya, Africa. I was born and raised in Kenya for 10 years. So I came here as a 10-year-old. So I've been here for a little bit, but I was born and raised there. And that's where this story comes from. From 0 to around 9 years old, I lived in Utali, which is almost like a community, I'd say. A community in Nairobi, Kenya, which is the capital. And basically how it was, I lived in this, it was almost like I would say like it was a gated community. It was gated, but where the gate was and where we lived was like, I don't even know how to explain. It was like the gate was here. In order to go to where we lived, you had to go through the gate. But you'd go through the gate, and where we lived was like far down. I'd say it was like a 10 or 15 minute, like even 25 minute walk from where the gate was, or even like a 5-minute drive, 5 to 6 minute drive. But I remember we lived here. We lived in an apartment complex. We lived in an apartment complex here, and then there was a fence right here, and the other side of the fence was a jungle or wildlife, I guess you could call it, but it was a jungle. And in that jungle is where the monkeys were. I can't remember what kind of monkeys they were. I really can't remember what kind of monkeys they were. But I remember there was this little fence, but that fence did nothing. I remember the monkeys used to jump from their tree onto like the ground of our apartment complex or like the grass. So that little fence, I don't know what the heck that fence was there for. They didn't even obey it. But that's how it was. And I'll never forget, my little brother was crying one time. He was like crying so hard because this monkey took his banana. No, it wasn't a banana. He took his mango. It was a mango. Took his mango, and I guess he was like crying because he was like, oh my god, this freaking, you know, a little monkey took his mango. I'll never forget that story because he made such a big deal about it, and granted, it was a big deal. But what I do remember, and I clarified with my mom about this story, just so you know how sometimes you remember your childhood stories and you're like, I don't know if this is a real story or if this really happened or I'm making it up in my mind. So I confirmed with my mom and she said that this did happen. All the things I remember did happen. So these are memories from when I was like 0 to 9. 0. I do remember things, honestly I can remember as far as like 2 years old. I can remember things from when I was 2 to around now, you know, 2 onwards. I remember, which is strange. One thing I do remember is they were not afraid of kids and they were not afraid of women. So they, I don't know, if they saw a kid, they would like, I remember them hurting. They would never hurt people. My mom confirmed they never would hurt you, but they like kind of scare you. They do like a little like jerk, like a little jerk, until you give them their food. They love bananas, mangoes, and bread. I remember that very clearly because that's the thing I remember them always wanting. And along with my brother's story, I remember coming home. So when we're young, in Kenya, it's almost like you're raised by, it's a village. So I remember being like 5 or 6 and my mom asking me to go to the store, which was right outside the gate. She asked me to go to the store to get some bread. And remember how I said they love bread? She asked me to go get some bread, and I came home crying like my little brother did. I came home crying, and she was like, Yvonne, where's the bread? And I was like, the monkeys took the bread. They took all the bread. And I'll never forget those little monkeys like trying to scare me. They were like, dirt, dirt. I remember that little monkey. I was like, dirt, dirt. And I had to like give it my bread because I was scared. So I gave him my bread. But I remember mom was like, she said she was so mad because I think she said that I should have known to get a plastic bag to go like so the monkeys can't see that it's bread. But I just held the bread on its own, you know, and carried it home that way, and I wasn't supposed to do that. So, you know. But I remember that little story. But I do remember those monkeys were they were never mean. They just were like little like, they were like, what's that word where they would scare you but they don't mean it? You know what word I'm trying to figure out. I can't figure out right now. But yeah, they were just trying to scare you but they would never hurt you. And I also remember when my mom came home and we all came home to a mess in the house because my mom or somebody, I think we had like a house help lady, and she had left the windows open. Somebody had left the windows open, and in Kenya we don't have those like, you know how here there's like here in America there's like the window and there's like a little net thing, whatever that thing is. All we have is just a window, so when you leave it open, the whole window's open. So we left windows, and the monkeys could crawl into any space, and they had got into our apartment, ate all of our food, and they were still chilling in the living room like what? They were not scared of people. But my mom said, first she was pissed that, you know, the windows were open and that they ate all of our food and they were still chilling when we got there because again, she's a woman and they weren't scared of women. But she did mention that whenever she put on pants, which is so funny, whenever she put on pants, the monkeys thought she was a man, so they would be scared. So I was like, that's so interesting. They thought if you wore pants, you were a man, because they were scared of men, but not women and children. So that's interesting. I thought that was funny and really cool. And I think sometimes we don't, you know, kind of cherish our backgrounds. And I remember that story and I was like, that is really funny and that's really cool. And I think that made me more open to animals. I love animals. I didn't grow up with pets, which is a completely different thing. I didn't grow up with pets, but I grew up with like seeing animals and animals being an okay thing. That's why I love my freaking animals, and that's stereotypical, like, you know, African, you love animals. But I do. I love my little monkeys. I love giraffes. And I love elephants. So I think those are really cool. So I guess more like the wild animals are the ones that I love. So yeah, that's my little story. What is your favorite childhood story? I thought that was fun and cute. Because monkeys are cute except when they're trying to take your food, which ain't right. But they are cute. What is a childhood story that you remember? One of your favorite stories, or what do you remember about your childhood that was like fun or quirky, or I think people would think is weird now, but it was normal back then. Like, when, if you can't remember a childhood story, when's the earliest story that you can remember? I always think that it's cool how we can remember so many things. I think adults or even people tend to think that kids don't know, don't remember. Comment below, I would love to hear it. And just, if you'd like to, just say your name as well. I know you have your Facebook. I know you have your YouTube name, but just like, what's your name? I want to get to know you guys a little bit more. I want us to talk in the comment section. So thank you for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed that little story. I'm Yvonne, and I'm still polishing this gold. I hope you continue to do so too. Make sure you subscribe down there and thumbs up if you like this story, if you like monkeys, if you like animals, thumbs up. But I'll see you guys in my next video.